Let's shift gears here, man. When you come over from WCW, and what year did you come over to WWE?
When they bought the company, they bought it in 2000.
2000, yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah, 2001, I think. Yeah, and when that happened, obviously the rumor was going around after the last show. They're like, yeah, well, some of the contracts they're buying out, other contracts they're just letting them run out. People they don't want to hire, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, okay. And then when it came to my contract, they JR told me, like, Ray, we would really want to do business with you, but let your contract run out, and then come April of 2002, we'll sit down and negotiate a good deal for you. Okay. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. So from 2001 till April of 2002, I did something that I really wanted to do, is wrestle in Arena Mexico with CMLL at the time. So I did a couple shows there.
Who's that?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever heard of it.
What is it?
LMNCA? What?
LLCM.
LLCM. Okay. I'll look it up.
That was just...
you guys heard of that? Anybody?
No one. Yeah. I don't think it's around anymore. Or it might be. I don't know. So, yeah, I was there for maybe 2 months. And, okay, did that. Bucket list, check it off. And then I went to Puerto Rico. And I worked in Puerto Rico until I got the call from JR. And I actually thought that they didn't want to hire me, because I had heard so many stories that Vince didn't like smaller talent and blah, blah, blah. I was like, man, I was undecisive. Like, I didn't know what to believe. Is it true? Is it not true?
Oh, it was true.
Yeah.
I'm sure. No,
yeah. Yeah, right?
No, yeah. I'll get there, but go ahead. Let me cut you off.
So Angie and I were already making plans. We had just had Aaliyah in 2001, so it's like, okay, let's just see what happens. Let's write it out. In the meantime, I have work. I'm grinding, so we're good. And yeah, 2002, I get a call, sit down with JR, sign the deal, and rest is history.
Well, I mean, yeah, the rest is history. But I know when you first come in, there was that stigma. Of like, oh, he's way too small, right? It's just, I mean, obviously you did some incredible. The stuff that you did in the ring was incredible, but I think in the old man's eyes, it was just like, I don't think so. And I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I think you almost had to change your style a little bit, like even in the way that you sold and learned. I think because, you were so used to doing all the, the incredible,
right?
The incredible moves. Like, I think it was when you really realized, like, dude, I have to sell my ass off,
right, to
really get these people on my side. And then the key to doing that, obviously, is being able, okay, yeah, I'm going to sell, but I'm never going to die.
Right.
And then I think that's, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, that is when the fan base, like, dude, this is somebody that we can really get behind, because
right.
Look, I mean, he's twice, 3 times as small as this dude, but man, he just won't give up. And then when he does, when you hit all these crazy moves too, man, it took you, to my opinion, it took you to a completely different level.
No, I think you're absolutely right. So right before WCW was bought out, that's roughly around maybe a year before is when I lost the mask to Nash and Hall. And then I was already working with a little bit more with the bigger guys. I had an opportunity to work with Bam Bam Bigelow, who was awesome. Like, I loved working him. And just I got a feel of what it felt like to be in there with the bigger dudes, and how to sell and move around and be creative with my offense. But it wasn't until WWE, when I came in, that I really started getting feedback from the agents, from the people I was working, you including Angle. Eddie would always pull me aside. You know, and it was a learning process because everything was so fast in WCW.
Right.
So fast paced. Because we really didn't have a direction. They wouldn't
Right.
tell us.
Yeah.
And here, we did have to learn a certain direction.
Yeah. You had to storytell back then.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was such a learning experience for me that it made my work like much more easier and believable. And I was like, whoa, I can adapt to this. It was just, I've always been willing to learn a different style or a technique or a form of adding to my work that is going to make it improve. And nothing could have happened better than to listen to all the people that I work with and that I learned from here in WWE coming in 2002.
Yeah. No, I know from my perspective, like I feel like I have some of my best matches were against smaller guys because there's such a, there's such a good story that you can tell. I know the few times that we worked, it was me trying to use my strength and my size to bum rush you, and you just being too slick and staying away from me, cat and mouse. And once you invest in that story, it's like, oh, okay, boom. If Taker ever does get a hold of him, he's going to kill him, but he just can't get to him. Right. And if you apply and put, if you figure out the story, and a lot of guys, Kurt and a few times I get to work with Eddie too. It's like, what makes sense? Well, go after a leg. You don't want me on my feet. You want me down.
Right.
And I knew once because you had some incredible matches in WCW. The match with Eddie. Oh my gosh, that's one of the most fun matches I've ever watched.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was incredible. And you guys told an incredible story. But yeah, once that light went off with you, then the sky was the limit. Obviously, I mean, 3 world title reigns? And,
I mean, everything just kind of, again, started unfolding and presenting itself, with the time. But I again, we don't do this work on our own. We always need that guidance, that the right opponent to work with that'll build you up to the next level.
Right.
The first one to kind of like pull me aside was Kurt Angle at that time. I remember he told me they gave him 3 opponents to work with for SummerSlam, which was my first pay-per-view with WWE in Long Island. And he said, I chose you. I've always wanted to work with you since I've seen you in WCW. I'm like, oh, truly honored. And he was like the first guy that kind of pulled me under his wing and was learning all these new methods of how to make my craft much better. And you just adapt it. You do it. And back then we were doing it so regularly that it just becomes a habit, a good habit.
Yeah.
That you invest the time and the effort to making it work, and then it just sticks. Okay, and then what's next? What do I have to learn now?
Right.
The one thing I never was able to do is, because I've always been I've always had fear of speaking in front of public. Like raise your hand to speak up in front of the class. Oh, no.
No eye contact.
So for some reason, the mask gave me a little bit of coverage, but I could never get comfortable on the mic. As much as I wanted to, it was just almost impossible. And the times that I did, it was like it came out of a lot of will to do it. But yeah, I don't know how you were.
No, I could. Not that I was a great promo guy, but like I could be in front of 100,000 people and cut a promo.
Yeah,
and not flinch. You put me in Mark Calloway in front of 15 people. Brother, I didn't want any part of it. Like if I had to be myself, I was like, no, I don't want any part of this at all. I was completely the opposite. There's so many times that I passed up on speaking gigs and stuff like that. It was like, it's not my,
not your
and
thing.
then I go out and, do an hour at my Hall of Fame, and then it's like, this guy never talks and now he don't shut up. What the hell? I get you in trouble sometimes too, but you, I think, redefined what a top guy looks like. I honestly, because especially with WWE, everybody was so big. Obviously Kurt, but I mean, the Vince's, his favorites were the big dudes.
Yeah,
and you, I think you were able to redefine for a whole generation coming behind you that, hey, you don't have to be 6'6" and 300 pounds to be, a top guy.
Right.
So you opened a lot of doors, I think, for a lot of talent coming up behind you.
Right. I think the fact that I was Hispanic, that I was the size, not the stereotypical size of a wrestler, but on top of that, the stuff that I was doing at the time that was hardly ever, like, a lot of people had never seen a lot of the stuff that I was doing. Like, all that put together just opened up this new vision for fans to go, oh, this is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Even like going back to WCW, like the fact that we were given an opportunity there, and there was so many of us, La Parca, Juventud Guerrera, Super Calo, like, why is it out of all of them, I was the only one that stuck there with, like, they're all gone. Like, Psychosis, there would be no Rey Mysterio without Psychosis. Mm-hmm. He was just he made my work look so crisp and clean, like, just amazing to work with. But obviously, we all take different paths. Mm-hmm. We don't dedicate fully or commit to our craft sometimes, and that kind of derails you. In my case, I think that just the passion overall and wanting to be part of this and taking it to whatever level was the next level at the time, kind of, the fans fed off that energy and really invested in me.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, obviously, we are no one without God first and foremost, but overall, the fans are the ones that give you the respect and the props that you eventually want to earn, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, fans, but it has to, it has to come from the talent as well. Like, I mean, you can, if you don't put that work in, because I see a lot of people get comfortable. They get to a certain level and they think, okay, I've made it.
Were you like that at some point?
No, like, that's the one, maybe to a fault. Like, I was never satisfied.
I'm same way.
Right? Like,
same way.
It from even, back in, you remember back in the day after we would do a premium live event.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The next day at Raw and catering, they'd have the monitor playing and everybody was, I could never sit there and watch my stuff. Like, I just couldn't, because I didn't want to hear like, oh, dude, that was great, or that was awesome.
No, I
wanted to sit by myself and watch it and pick it apart. Like, man, I wish I had done this right here, because then I would have got this here. That's how you learn and you expand and you become better.
Only you can understand.
You can only understand that. Yes. Yeah, but you can't. You can. I always tell people, and never be content. Mm-hmm. Because there's always another place to go.
Yeah.
But even, I go back to the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Right? Steve was the guy.
Yep.
But there was a bunch of guys that were right there under him that was always, it was such a healthy competition.
Yeah.
Because everybody wanted his spot.
Yeah.
Maybe it was going to happen. Maybe it wasn't going to happen.
Right.
But man, that was the spot that you wanted to have.
Right.
And, and you just, like, I was never like, and I was more of an attraction for most, or not most, but a lot of my career, I was the attraction. Mm-hmm. But even that, which is a great spot to be in, like, no, I want to be even more.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you last as long as we both did.
Yeah.
Is by always thinking there's more.
Yeah.
There's more. There's more. There's more.
Yeah.
And that's just an approach that I don't know that. I know there's a lot of people that have it, but there's a lot of people that don't have it, and they get comfortable, and then they wonder why they stagnate, or you have to continue to evolve, whether it be your repertoire, your gear, your personality. You have to continue to evolve to keep everything fresh and moving forward, man.
I think you did say it best. Like, you never be content with what you're presenting. I was always the hardest critic, going back and watching my matches. I knew exactly what I should have done at a certain point of the match that could have made it just much better.
Yeah.
But yeah, were you like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the only way you can improve and get better, right?
Yeah.
That's the only way.
I think there's a difference between loving it and just kind of being obsessed with it.
Right.
You know?
Yes.